Hey, everybody. Excuse the bizarre setting. I'm in a hotel room here in Dublin, Ireland for today's COTS take, Coalition of the Sane, hashtag COTS. I'm very excited about the COTS take today because I wouldn't normally do something like this on vacation, but I think it needed to be done, especially after the Memorial Day weekend, which is very special to me. It's a day of remembrance. There's people in my family, military, that have gone on who you could say died based on their military service. And of course, I've had those that I've known and friends also pass on or taken from us during military service. Everybody knows I'm an Air Force veteran. So it is important to me to address things when the need arises, just based on the service that I've done and others have done. What I've seen with the trials of Donald Trump and the bizarre Memorial Day message that he put out there, which was crazy, or the fact that we still have idiots talking about UFO hearings. I feel like our country has become so clickbaity and unable to see the forest for the trees that we're in real trouble of Trump actually winning in 2024 and certain types of plans being executed. And just today, I saw that Steve Bannon on his ridiculous podcast or show talked about abolishing federal law enforcement and called the FBI the Gestapo. Now, a lot of this is based on him talking about something called Project 2025, and I know some of you have heard of it. I don't know if any of you have read it, but I hope you do download it. It's a massive document. And then they even say there's certain portions that are classified. It really is a Christian nationalism document, authoritarian document. It's a fascist document on how the far right is going to take over government after Trump wins his election, especially in dismantling the administrative state. Now, so everybody knows I'm no big fan of bureaucracies and specifically regulations. When you read Project 2025, it's a wholly different document. It really is about dismantling the institutions and the checks and balances that make our country great. I think that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, about Steve Bannon specifically and what he said, but also the people that surround him. You still have the Stephen Millers out there and the Jason Millers, which you saw actually commented on Robert De Niro being at the courthouse talking about Donald Trump's trial that he's going through right now as far as with Stormy Daniels. So here's what I want to say to everybody and why I thought I had to talk today is I just don't think people are still paying attention. We're in May, getting close to June. The election is right around the corner. And while we have all these bizarre things that I mentioned, and again, UFO hearings, or just the ridiculousness of representatives talking about some UAP cover up or aliens hidden in, body bins in Area 51, or, all the ridiculous stuff to talk about with Trump always trying to get on the news, or, the things that we're talking about that are going on around the world is that we are really missing the forest for the trees of the authoritarian bent of the Republican Party and what's happening. So, what do we do about it? I started this coalition the same, podcast and YouTube channel and shows so I could actually reach out to people about my knowledge of what's happening in authoritarian circles. And what you see with Steve Bannon and people like Steve Bannon, what he's saying is no different from the Meadows text messages. It's no different from the crazy that was coming out of the mouths of Jenny Thomas or people for the Council for National Policy. And I think everybody here needs to start looking up certain groups as far as it's linked to Project 2025 and Christian nationalism, and that's UIP, Unified in Purpose, Ziklag Group, Seven Mountains Dominionism, the New Apostolic Reformation, Council for National Policy, the Conservative Partnership Institute. My goodness, the list goes on and on. I can't believe that media is not tracking what all these groups are doing or how the money interplays. What we're seeing with people like Leonard Leo, what we're seeing on the Supreme Court, the fact that Clarence Thomas is still there, the fact that I believe the January 6th committee didn't take Jenny Thomas seriously enough. I thought we should have subpoenaed Jenny Thomas and Clarence Thomas, which was one of the issues that the committee had with me. And although the committee did quite well, I think we missed the command and control infrastructure, the people that were funding some of the craziest, most heinous things that were going on in Stop the Steal and all the conspiracy theories that surrounded it. And the fact that, if you think about it, Stop the Steal was really a religious movement. It was based on Donald Trump being ordained by God. And again, when you see Steve Bannon talking about dismantling the administrative state, there's a lot of people that believe this, tens of millions. And most people on the right or far right, if they're voters from West Virginia to Arkansas to Idaho, wherever, nobody's really paying attention. They just know that Trump is their man, that he's ordained by God. And as far as what happens after that, most of them don't care. Some aren't bright enough. And those that are bright enough, they actually agree with the Christian nationalism or white nationalism message, which is really what Project 2025 is all about. So, as we become more and more scattered and more random, I just ask all of you to actually look up these groups, do your due diligence, read about them, but see what they're actually saying. They are self identifying. The one thing that I learned in intelligence work is those that self identify or those who tell you what they are or who they are, you need to listen to them. But that self identification means that they're trying to make money. A lot of times you can follow the money and where that money's coming from. But if you don't think Steve Bannon's making a play to be in a Trump administration, I think you're smoking wacky weed. And if you don't think that any of these people are out there trying to actually get play within the Trump administration, I think you need to revisit what your expectations are. If you look, for instance, Nikki Haley signing bombs that are going into Palestine from Israel, people can talk about the political issues or the awfulness of that conflict. What she's doing is she's auditioning for VP. All these people that are out there, from the Jason Millers and the Stephen Millers, and you see the Rick Grinnells popping up and the Cash Patels, the Steve Bannons and the Mike Flynn's, all of them, they're auditioning to be part of Trump's cabinet if he's to win in 2024. And what's it going to look like when he wins? It's Project 2025. So I think most of you that watch this, you need to start paying attention to Steve Bannon and watching what he's saying. You need to pay attention to Mike Flynn and the Reawaken America tours. You need to pay attention to those who are filming this, some of the open source intelligence researchers that are out there. You need to look at what they're saying or what they're posting. The crazy things that are coming out of the mouths of some of these individuals, even like Eric Trump and people of that nature. So here I am in Ireland. I'm having a great time drinking Guinness, drank some Jameson today, had an incredible open face steak sandwich. My wife had bangers and mash. We're walking around Dublin, getting soft serve ice cream, going to the Guinness place, and all I can think about is being an American and wanting to protect my home turf, and that's the United States of America, from the likes of the Bannons and the Flynns and the Roger Stones and the Alex Jones and the Cash Patels and the Rick Grinnells and the Eric Trumps, hell, the entire Trump family, the Christy Gnomes and the Nikki Haleys and the Bill Barrs who said they're still going to vote for Trump, and all the individuals who are coming home. All the Republican roosters are coming back. All the Republican chickens are coming back home because guess what? They're afraid of daddy. And they might actually want Project 2025 to come to fruition. So, everybody, pay attention to Christian nationalism, white nationalism, and the Steve Bannons. Have a great day, and I hope we can get to work.